GRIMCOVEN has hit our table. Literally, we've got everything that just arrived. It just got here on the front doorstep, and we wanted to do this kind of unboxing, although we unboxed it and put it all out here. As you can see, it's a lot, and this isn't even everything. We've got a box that has even more miniatures that we didn't put out here on the table, but we did put a good selection out.
Yeah, for those who aren't aware, this is a brand new boss battler game from Awaken Realms. Two things that I love already combined with this
excited.
It's got this like Victorian hunter theme. So, and of course, like it's Awaken Realms. It's hard not to get excited when it's Awaken Realms to begin with, but then you put this theme on there that kind of feels a little Elden Ringy, a little Bloodborne-y, whatever.
A little Bloodborne-y for sure.
That Victorian, that dark Victorian, monster hunter kind of vibe. It's working for me, I'll say.
Yeah, and it should be said, we are going to be doing some sponsored content. This is not one of those pieces. We just wanted to get it on the table, but keep that in mind as we gush about this. It's hard not to get excited.
I mean, really.
If you've gotten an Awaken Realms game ever, when that delivery comes, you're excited.
Yeah.
So when we got this prototype, we were really excited to see it. And I didn't know too much about it. I'd looked at their campaign page a little bit. It looks like it's maybe been updated.
Yeah, I checked again today, and I was surprised by how much was there. But again, they're not showing everything. They didn't even send us everything.
No.
We have a small little sample here that we can play with 2 players, which is great for us, but the actual game will go up to 4. But they send us all the components we need for 2 players. But they did send us 3 characters to choose from, which are the same 3 characters that you can see on the campaign page. So, because it is a boss battler, you choose your character, then you choose not only the boss. They said there's a number of bosses, there's a number of elites that you can choose, and then a number of minions, and you kind of mix and match that together, and also a number of adventures.
Yeah.
And so you can combine all that together, and that becomes your scenario.
Yeah, this is not a campaign game. It seems like they make it very clear this is just a jump in, jump out, modularly set this thing up. Of course, it has insane miniatures in it. If it's Awaken Realms, you know it's going to have really nice miniatures.
I mean, absolutely insane.
Every time we see new miniatures from them, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like they've outdone themselves. But then if you go back and you look at things like Tainted Grail,
Tainted Grail was great, but they get better and better. Well, look at the new type of mini, or the new kind of material they're using here. It looks so cool.
We're starting to see this sort of thing with other companies as well, where they're using 2 different materials. There's some other miniatures in the box that look like these little red tornadoes, but this one here is like this pile of skulls with a red flaming skull coming out of the top.
Look at this. Look at these like portals. This is insane.
This is simple, but I love it.
I mean, I've never seen anything quite like this. The table presence of this game, I mean, is going to be absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you've obviously we have some samples of 3D terrain, these little like...
Oh, yeah.
Well, they're like skeletons chaining out the wagon. And of course, the character minis, and we've got 2 versions of each character. So when you choose a character, apparently at some point in the game, you could become corrupted. The whole premise is you're out there fighting monsters, you're drawing on their power, which they call lament, and you're kind of like soaking that power in. And I guess eventually you become corrupted and you get a cooler looking version of your character.
Cool. I mean, first of all, the normal ones are pretty cool, but man, when I saw this corrupted gunslinger, first of all, they get bigger.
Yeah.
Secondly, this one looks pretty similar in many respects. Some of them completely changed the way
they look.
this
duality, which it's bigger.
It's in the box.
It looks like a chimera, and like the Technomancer, had a huge glow up. I love that they're just like similar characters, but they're like lifting themselves up into the air with the lightning, and their cloak is spreading out underneath them. Like, it's very cool attention to detail.
I'm pretty sure that I want to play the gunslinger, though, looking at the miniatures here. He gets 4 arms and just looks
I love that 2 of those arms are holding like a giant shotgun.
It's amazing.
Epic.
Now, again, that is what Awaken Realms does really well. Obviously, in addition to their games, their miniatures are really sort of prolific in the industry.
Yeah.
But there are some other things. Now, we haven't read the rules. The first thing I wanted to point out is they gave us this GRIMCOVEN pact. Actual parchment, not paper that looks like parchment, actual parchment, a little jar full of blood.
I mean, we don't know. We don't know where it came from.
It might be, they might have staff members that donate. I'm pretty sure it's ink. And an actual quill, which I feel like I could hurt someone with. And they asked us, I'm not going to do it on camera, but I'm going to sign this pact in blood. once I read the rules.
Oh, you got to read the fine print. When you're selling your soul to Awaken Realms by signing in blood, you got to read all the fine print first.
I take this sort of thing seriously. If I'm signing with a quill and something that even looks like blood, I'm going to read it very, very carefully.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like, okay, that's a little bonus that I don't know what.
Yes,
but
I
they
think
always,
that's just for us.
Well, they always throw little cool goodies in their campaigns too.
That's true.
But all that aside, let's forget about the presentation because I think we all know that Awaken Realms kills it with the way the components look, the way the minis look. What I'm actually most excited about for this is the game itself. I mean, we've fallen in love with boss battlers, I would say. Like,
I mean, I haven't played too many.
No,
I never played Kingdom Death or anything like that.
I loved Kingdom Death, Aeon Trespass. So I'm excited to see what Awaken Realms does with that boss battler idea.
Yeah, there's some map tiles over here. I don't know exactly if there's going to be sort of stages where you're doing that adventure sort of thing and it leads up to the boss. Probably, I would think.
You're doing the adventure while you're fighting the boss. And who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
But it looks like it all takes place on these hex tiles. You do some kind of arrangement of hex tiles and then battle. There's dice allocation, so you have all these things. You have cards that you can spend your dice on. A lot of the cards have icons that show different faces that you can, roll the dice and assign them across all your abilities, and that's how you're actually interacting with the map. And there's the bigger like electricity die that lets you like power yourself up.
Yeah, the die, really cool. I have to say, I'm a sucker for, these are pretty simple die, but custom, and they're just really nice.
Yeah.
We rarely get, in prototype form, we rarely get dice that look like this. Oftentimes there's paper taped to the sides of the dice and things like that. We mentioned it being modular. The boss board itself, I'm not going to break anything here.
Hopefully not.
But the boss board itself has a couple bosses that we got, and I'm sure there'll be more.
We got two, the Undead General and the Convergence, which are pretty cool.
Then here is the boss board. There's another board off the side. I'm not even sure what that's for, but that is another component in the game.
Oh, this is where you put the elites.
Oh, okay.
Because you have you have an elite and a boss that you kind of modularly smash together.
And you put the boss in this big thing. And the bosses, they each have big decks, of course, like any boss battler. But the player boards themselves, too, work the same way. And this is, I think, something Awaken Realms is probably going to do in a lot of their games these days. I mean, Nemesis now does this too, right?
I like it.
But you put that in there, and of course it works well with this because when you get corrupted, you just flip it over.
Yeah, look, I mean, that is sick. That looks so cool. Like that act of flipping it out and then being able to replace your miniature. And then the decks of cards grow as you play. Now, we mentioned that this is not a campaign game. You just jump into a scenario, but it does have roguelite elements to it. As far as the more that you play a specific character, you can track your progress. You start unlocking new cards that you can add into your deck. Even though you're starting fresh with a new run, some of those elements are actually going to carry over, and your characters do become stronger as you proceed through multiple scenarios.
Yeah, you can actually even see some of the cards here have locks on them. So they talked about not being roguelike, but somewhat as
that's their game from their Game Found page. I don't know exactly what it means when they say that, but we do know at least that you get to carry over some cards from future runs. Yeah, there might be more. I mean, I don't know. We don't have the full rules yet.
That would be very cool. Yeah. For a game that doesn't have a campaign, if there's that flavor of like, oh, I achieved this, so now I have this.
Yeah.
That is really cool. It'll be interesting to see how that works though in the long run.
I'm excited to dive into this for sure.
Yeah, and dive into it we will. I don't know how soon we're going to get it done, but we're probably going to have a more in-depth preview to tell you how the game works and how it plays. Yep. And probably even maybe a playthrough. I don't know if it's going to be a live stream or round one. But come back and check out our content once we get it up, which will probably be before their campaign launches, which I think is sometime in June.
Yeah, they said Q2, so we're coming up on that.
Yeah, I think it's coming up soon. But anyway, if you have any questions at all about what we've shown you today, or maybe more, we can dig into it. Make them in the comments below. Until next time, though, make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then.